Yeah, I got a visit from my girl yesterday. That was pretty nice. You know, it was a nice visit. She brought me some clothes because I had nothing to wear, and I haven't seen her. You know, I hadn't seen her for like 9 days. You know, because I was in detox. It was a pretty nice visit.
All right, thanks, Trevor. Okay, who's next? All right, Mr. Payne, how'd your week go?
It's weird, man, you know? I talked to my oldest girl, Dee Dee. She started screaming at me. I don't need you now. Why are you coming around now? We needed you when we were little girls. And Andrea chimes in. If you knew, Dad, I used to be so happy when you'd be sleeping on the sofa when I come downstairs. Then I came downstairs one morning and you were gone. I wasn't sleeping, I passed out. I'd be on the street for days. I was homeless.
It's hard, man. It is. I mean, when your daughter described as common among fathers or all parents who are using. Here's what's going on. Yeah, you remember those commercials from back in the day where the guy's holding the egg and he says, "This is your brain"?
Right. This is your brain on drugs.
Right. We're gonna go a little bit deeper than that. We're gonna talk about what happens in the brain while you're using, after, and during recovery. As much as you love your kids, when you're using, your brain stops you from showing it. You know, the brain's focus is getting the drugs, using them, and covering it up. It's because we're chasing this feeling of pleasure that never really comes. This pleasure is controlled by the brain's limbic system. You see, the limbic system forces us to chase that high every time, but we never find it. Instead, we become addicted. And it affects other parts of the brain too, like your ability to make good decisions, use good judgments for you and your kids, you know, plan ahead. All that's impaired. All this adult thinking, called executive thinking, takes place here, in the prefrontal cortex. So you're not able to do these things safely or well. It's even hard to think about consequences to your drugging, like what goes on with your kids. This is called consequential thinking, which is also regulated in the prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, man, I know my brain got messed up. I don't even remember my son's birthday. I remember when my daughter was born, but I don't remember my son's birthday because I wasn't there. And his mom has to tell me. But that's something I try to remember, you know, I gotta remember that.
Memory is controlled by our brain's biggest region, the cerebrum. I mean, drugs affect that too. I mean, just because you can't remember doesn't mean others can. I mean, a lot of us, we have older kids who remember a lot that we don't. Whoever has grown children that they see or don't see? Okay, what about babies or little ones who are still in school?
My girlfriend's having a baby in a few months. She doesn't want to see me, but she's gonna let me see the baby. Yeah, it's a boy. Thanks, man.
We'll work on that for sure. Some of us, we have adult children who their feelings are going to be strong about what they remember, about our presence or our absence. Like Mr. Payne firsthand saw that over the weekend with his daughter and her anger.
Sometimes when I was using, I would pick up my son after he's crying at the end of a nap. Sometimes I just wouldn't. He'd keep crying. I don't know. My dad was an addict. So, when I was little, he'd hug me if I fell or hurt myself or something. But sometimes he'd yell at me and say, "Shut up," and stop being a baby.
Thanks, Nick. That's what we call unpredictable and inconsistent nurturing.
I used to do that with my daughter. I used to make her finish everything on her plate, sit at that table, no matter how long it took. I used to make her sit there till midnight if that was how long it took her, and I'd feed her anything she wanted. M&Ms, cheese sticks, ice cream, and then plop her down in front of the TV because I just wanted her to be set while I did my thing alone, you know?
Or what about the dad who grounds his daughter for a month for making the wrong dinner? Or the parents who are so focused on using that they lose track of their 10-year-old who stays out all night? And what we've got is an inadequate and excessive limit setting.
That's crazy, man. I mean, that is crazy.
Yo, it is crazy. So is stealing, dealing, jail time, pimping, driving drunk. Your drug abuse makes us do crazy stuff.
Yo, man, my little girl saw stuff that children shouldn't see. I was bringing my dealer home, hoes. Look, I don't even want to think about my girls doing some of the crazy stuff I did. I just don't want to think about it. It's crazy.
These are examples of high risk and extreme behavior. I mean, plenty of it goes on in our own family. I mean, sometimes kids are neglected, physically abused, highly controlled, or emotionally battered. Parents who manage their kids' behavior with unreasonable consequences, like taking away the TV, the Xbox, maybe prohibiting them from leaving the house at months at a time.
Or on the flip side, kids are left with no supervision. There's no curfew, no one to watch them at home or the neighborhood. I mean, I was left to cook by myself for my brothers and sisters. My bedtime was whatever. They give harsh punishments and don't stick to it. Why? Because they aren't focused on what's good for their kids. They're focused on using.
Or what about a parent who has unrealistic expectations of what their child can sit through? Like having a 2-year-old sit down and be quiet for a long stretch of time. I mean, what 2-year-old's gonna do that, right?
Or parents who expect their teenager to spend all their time with them. Or even parents who expect their older children to just forgive and forget all those years of absence and abuse. If you think of yourself and think about the parenting ways we reviewed and how it might be a part of your own upbringing. You see, this is where the shame and the guilt starts as a father. Way back when you were boys, you might experience the neglect, extreme discipline, illegal activity in your own family. I'm sure it was scary, confusing, and painful. And I'm sure you thought it was your fault. Only if I was a little quieter, smarter, a good student. You know, that maybe these things, they'll go away. But let me tell you this. It's not your fault. And I'll say it again. Your parents' drug abuse and behavior wasn't your fault. What? Maybe you started drinking, using drugs to numb the fear, pain, get away from the family, fit in, whatever. That use became abuse. And maybe you don't see your kids as much. Or if you do, you don't feel right about it. That pain and that guilt, it gets multiplied. So you felt crummy about your childhood. Or you feel crummy about not being there for your kids or your kid's mother. It's hard. It is. It's hard trying to be a solid dad while you're using. It's like bam! More shame, more guilt. And that's how drugs affect your parenting and your kids. All right, let's move on. Angel, how was your week?
My week was pretty decent. I got a chance to reconnect with my daughter, and she brought my grandkids, so the time I spent with them made me realize that I need to do the right thing this time.